My name is Reverend Natalie Jean, and we're back with you with the Irma Curtis Hopkins movement. Today, I wanted to focus on the topic of knowing when you're ready to move on, meaning moving on from your job, moving on from your spiritual teachers, moving on from the church, moving on from everything that we need to move on because, we evolve. There's an evolution that we're doing. There are different messages that we're going to learn throughout our daily lives, our experiences. And so I really wanted to give you a little background for those of you that don't understand the connection between Mary Baker Eddy and Emma Curtis Hopkins. Well, Emma Curtis Hopkins, and I'm a little bit biased here, studied many different things on her own. And at one point, I think she became a little ill and she sought the Christian Science faith, which was Mary Baker Eddy. She decided to attend the school with an agreement with Mary Baker Eddy. And while she was there, she started to become the editor of the journal, and she wrote some articles in the journal. But the problem is that Mary Baker Eddy could see that Emma Curtis Hopkins had a different way of thinking than hers. Emma Curtis Hopkins studied many different religions. She spoke many different languages. She wanted to find the commonality between all the religions that were speaking about God. In essence, what she realized that there was God in all religions. They may have a different name for it, and that God created all the religions so that we could see the beauty of God in everything and everybody. And, it's tragic. People still need to get there, but there will be an understanding someday of why we have so many different religions. In any case, Mary Baker Eddy could see the brilliance in Emma Curtis Hopkins. But Mary Baker Eddy believed that spirit only spoke through her, while Emma Curtis Hopkins believed that spirit spoke through everybody, which is, we know now, is the fact of everything out there. And so they decided together that they would part ways. Now, with Mary Baker Eddy, she studied with Quimby. She was very sick for the longest time, and she sought his help for mental healing, and she got it. But what she did later on, which is not fair, is she took some of his teachings, took the name Christian Science, copyrighted it, and said it was hers, that she found it. The problem with Mary Baker Eddy is that her ego would not let go. Letting go was not the facet of things. Mary Baker Eddy was always sick, even though her book Science and Health is fabulous, and she has her own ideals in there as well. She believed that, spirit only spoke through her. So that's not going to work in New Thought. It just isn't. Because we know that spirit speaks through everyone if we're open and we allow it. So they parted ways, Emma Curtis Hopkins and Mary Baker Eddy. And this allowed Emma Curtis Hopkins to write for many different publications, the Christian Science magazine. She wrote for the Christian Metaphysician and Mental Science and many different others. So she was able to broaden her horizon. Now, what a lot of people don't know is at a certain point, I believe that Mary Baker Eddy, through my research, Mary Baker Eddy and Emma Curtis Hopkins, somehow they got back together. They talked, or I was going to say email, but there was no email back then. They talked, they wrote telegrams, whatever, and there was some kind of discussion about Emma Curtis Hopkins coming back to the school. But as we know, that never happened. So this gave Emma Curtis Hopkins the opportunity to start the Christian Science Theological Seminary. It gave her the opportunity to do workshops. It gave her the opportunity to deal with Ernest Holmes, deal with the Philmos, not deal, but teach them. It gave her many tremendous opportunities to really do her work. Now, if she had not left the Christian Science Seminary or the Christian Science School that Mary Baker Eddy had, we don't know where she would be right now. She could still be, I would like to say, under Mary Baker Eddy's thumb. But as I have learned so many things about Emma Curtis Hopkins, I doubt that would have happened also. She was a very strong woman and really spoke her truth. Later on, we will come out with a book that will talk about such things. I have letters that she's written and stuff like that, and you will see that, she didn't take crap either. She spoke her truth boldly, and she didn't let people walk all over her. And this is what I love about Emma Curtis Hopkins. Now, in today's age, we need to learn to let go of the material things. We need to let go of matter and allow God to work with us at every moment. This is important in our daily lives. We need to let go. And in a human perspective, we are always holding on to things because this is what we've learned to do. Hold on. Hold on to this. You don't want anybody to get this. But the thing is, we need to learn to let go and let God. We need to learn to discern what we want to do in this life. We just have to discern it. It's not about going to our teachers, going to our ministers. We need to be able to sit down and really focus, meditate, have that message come through us if we have a question, because we can do this ourselves. There's so many people that will come to me and say, well, I wish I could do this. I wish I could do that. Well, why aren't you doing them? You are God. I'm looking at you as God. Now, when I want to know how to do something and I'm having trouble, I say, God, give me the wisdom, give me the intelligence to be able to bring this forth. This is important. This is my body of work. I need to help other people. And bam, just like that, things will come to me. Now, I'm not saying that people can't go to teachers, they can't go to ministers, but if you've been taking the same courses over and over and you have a clear understanding, sometimes you cannot wait for your teacher to tell you, oh, I think it's time for you to move on. I think it's time for you to make some other steps in your life. You don't need to be here. Now, in my case, when it came time for me to leave practitioners, of course, my minister, my pastor, whatever you want to call it, told me, it was like, what are you doing here? You are doing your own thing now. You don't need to be doing this anymore. Now, at a certain point, I should have been able to discern that, but he gave the message to me right away. Then you might meet people that may want to keep you in a class, not because they don't think that you're capable of anything else, but sometimes they just want to keep you there. They want to hold you back. They want to be in control of how you evolve in this lifetime. For example, I have an ECH seminary school where you can study many different things, but I don't tell you how to dictate. I don't dictate your lessons to you in a certain sense. I'm not going to say, well, by X and X, you need to give this back to me. It's up to you to decide how you want to move your life. I have one student that's paid me, and he's taken 2 of the lessons, and I'm going to email him today just to see how everything is going. I believe that people need to go at their own pace and decide how they want to move their lives. Now, for me, when I get something, I read it like it's food. I'm like, oh my God, I gotta finish this. I gotta understand this. I gotta get this done. And my life right now, I need to get a lot of things done. So that's my focal point. But we need to get to a point where we can sit by ourselves and discern and hear God's voice. Now not that you're going to hear this booming voice, but you're going to hear your own voice, because this is God's voice giving you what you need, answering what you need to know. We can discern for ourselves. A lot of people sometimes want to go to clairvoyant people and stuff like that, which is all fine and dandy. But you have to understand that when you start to go to them too much, because there's a point where it's too much. I know people that go to them and the next day they're asking the same question because they haven't seen the thing come to fruition. And there's nothing wrong with going to a clairvoyant, but you have to remember also that you dictate your own path. Even if somebody that's clairvoyant tells you, well, this is going to happen on X day, you have the power to change that. You have the power to change it. Now, sometimes you may go to somebody that's clairvoyant and they're giving you a message, maybe because you need to change that message. But, everybody on this earth is clairvoyant. There are those that have tapped into it much more than others. You have to decide how you want to move your life, in what direction. If you want to stay stagnant, if you want to reach your goals, your destiny, your missions, and everything that you need to do, you are in control of your life. Nobody else is. So for 2013, we're definitely not going to do the blame game. If anybody's at fault with the way our life is moving, then we are at fault with it. So we need to decide, how are we going to move ourselves further in this lifetime? How are we going to manifest this light? How are we going to understand the greatest power within us, which is God? We have got to move our lives. I am ready. Are you ready? Study the teachings of Emma Curtis Hopkins, or whoever moves you. Read them, immerse yourself in those teachings, and see your life move in right direction. Amen.